All right, today's work is basically, it's a review, okay? And it's a review of the chapter of what you need to know. And so if you want to get a piece of paper out or get your composition book out, and you can take notes on these things, okay? Tomorrow you're going to be having your chapter 1 test, okay? It's not going to include lesson 4 on it, which is word problems, but you still need to know that process. The reason we did that page is so that you can figure out the process, read and understand. And that's what you need to do with all these questions that you're going to have, is read them, understand them, know what they're saying, know what it's asking, okay? Then you're going to work through it, you're going to devise a plan, work through it. Then you're going to go back, the last thing, you're going to double check it. Okay, they had looked back at it, but basically that's what I call double checking. Now, you're going to have a couple of things. Place. In here, you have the place value chart. Place and value are two different things. Because if I told you that I had a digit that I put in here, what place is it in? Where is that 7 located? Zachary? Where? A little more specific. You're right. A little more specific. The 1 billions. Okay? Because this is all the billions, right? This is the 1 billions. If I had this over here, it would be the 10 billions. So you need to be even a little more specific. You were right, but just a little more. I'm glad that you said that so others can see, okay? You want to make sure that it's in the right value or the right place. What place is it in? Okay? It's in the 10 billions. Now, if it is in the 10 billions, how many are there? 7. No. There's 7, okay? So if there are 7 10 billions, Joseph, how many are there? 70 billion. It would be 70 billion. This is the value, okay? Its value is 70 billion. The place where it's located is the billions. Okay? If I had, let's do a different one. We'll do a 5. And we'll put it here. Josh, what is the place? The what? 10 millions. Okay? This is 10 millions. The value this was 10 billion. And this is 10 million. And the value of it, Vanessa, the value of that 5. It's in the 10 million spot. So if there's 5 of them, how much would that be worth? What's the value of it? $10, $20. How much? $50 million is the value. Okay? The place where it's located is the 10 million. But the value of it is 50 million. Okay? So, you're going to need to know place and value. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, we good with that? Pretty simple? Okay? Next, they had the exponents. The exponents were that number that was up here. Okay? That was the exponent. That little number up top that's floating up there. Okay? This is read as 10 to the third. That 3 tells you that there is what? There's 3 tens. There's also 3 zeros. So this is going to equal 1, 2, 3, 1,000. Okay? You were right also because it is 10 times 10 times 10. There are 1, 2, 3 of them. Okay? But it's 3 zeros. Now, the one thing that you had to know with that was when you had what would your answer be, Gabriella?
It would be.
Tell me what you do.
You would do 58 and add 4 zeros.
58 and add 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And so you'd end up with 580,000. Okay? Now, what happened when you had instead of multiplying, we had dividing? Lucas, do you remember what we did? Because with multiplying, we added, like what Gabriella said, we added the zeros on. With dividing, Lucas, you take away. So if I have 12,000 divided by 10 to the second, what would I do? Exactly what you said. Take away 2 zeros. So I'm going to take away those 2. So that will leave me with, oops, 1, 2, and a 0. 120. Okay? What do you need to look at here between these two problems? What's the key that you should be looking at? The what? The exponent's one thing, yes. Well, what's telling you if you add or subtract them?
The divide or multiply.
You gotta look at divide and multiply. If it's multiply, you add the zeros on at the end. And if it's divide, Giada, we're gonna take them away, okay? So you're looking at exactly what you said. Whether you multiply or divide. Subtract goes with divide, add goes with multiply. Are we good there? Okay? Then we're gonna move on to 3 more. You got standard form. You got word form. Sometimes they have name form. And expanded form. Now, let's take a number. We are going to, let's take a number, I don't know. Let's have Joshua, give me a number. Give me a number that's in the thousands.
4,000.
Complete number.
4,552.
4,552. How'd I write that? Standard. That's standard form. Okay? The next one, word or name form. Let's go. 4,000. $500. $52. And that's the name form, word form. The last one is expanded form. One way to do it, 4,000 plus 500 plus 50 plus 2. Another way that they do it is 4 times 1,000 plus 5 times 100 plus 5 times 10 plus 2 times 1. You notice they're all in parentheses. Either way, I'm gonna accept it, okay? George? What? Okay, either way, I'm gonna accept it. Now, one thing that I was running into that you guys were doing is you were combining a couple of these when you did the word form. So if you had this, let's see, let me give you another one. And this is gonna be a short example. This is 5 million. How would I say that? Just say it for me. No, not the 5, the next 3. 852,000. That's the way you write it. Some of you have been writing 8,000 plus 50,000 plus, or 8,000, 800,000, 50,000, 2,000. But that's not the way you say it, is it? You usually say it 852, thousand, okay? So that's the way you write it. Don't write 800,000, 50,000, 2,000. Write it as that whole thing, and then thousands. So you're gonna have 800, 52,000. Some of you also are writing 852 and you're forgetting 1,000. Make sure that you tell what group, what period that is in. Whether it's the millions, the billions, the thousands, or even the ones. You don't say the ones because they're the 4 ones. We don't say that. But the thousands you should say after you've written that whole period, then you say it, okay? Is everyone good with that? 3 forms. Standard form, which is just the number written out. Then you have word form, where it's written in words. Then you have the expanded form, okay? Next. Oh, the next part was easy. Commutative, associative. Anybody remember the last one?
Identity.
Identity, good. Commutative. Whoops. What do I do? Do I add these two together and put it there? Put 52, why? It's flip-flop. It's not asking you to find the answer to the problem, it's just saying, what would make this side equal to this side? And so that's where you fill in the 52. Okay? Easy? Associative. Three numbers, you can only add 2 at a time. So you add the first 2 and then you add the last one. One of the questions on the test may be, which one would you add first to make it mental math? If you added these 2, what would you get? Jackson? 200. Is that easy to add 29 to? Okay. If you had this one, and then you added these 2 together, even though if you add those 2 together, you get 60, but then to add it to 69, it's just a little bit more brainwave action going on from this side. The 200, you don't have to carry anything, you're just adding it in. Here, you have to add the 6 into the 6, you get 12, carry the 1, you end up with 229, okay? It's still easy, but this side's even easier, okay? And the problem they're gonna give you are like that. Last one, identity. 0. Now what happens if you have 9, 8, 5, 4 minus 0?
It's the same thing as.
It's gonna be the same. What happens if that's a plus sign? Same thing, okay? Either or, that's the identity. So you got identity, associative, commutative, which we call flip-flop. Very good. All right. Then we're gonna move on to front-end estimation and rounding. Okay? Those are not that hard. If you had what would front end be? You add just what's in the front. So what's in the front? So what's 8 plus 1? 9. Isn't that like second grade? Yeah. What do you do with the rest of it? 0. Now, if I have 8, 5, 9, 2 plus 1, 8, 3, 7. And I'm doing rounding. What am I looking at? With 8,592. What would I do, George?
8 stays the same and 1 turns into 2.
8 stays the same?
It goes to 9.
Goes to 9. Anything 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 and above, it goes up. Okay? So this 5 is going to tell that to become a 9. This 8, like you said, is going to make the 1 become a 2. So now all of a sudden, we're going to have 9,000 plus 2,000, and we would get 11,000. Two different answers. Okay? Where would the exact answer be? Where would the exact answer be? George?
Under the bottom of the.
You got two estimates up here.
Between.
Between. It would be somewhere between 9,000 and 11,000 would be the exact answer. Okay? Now, the last part. This is the one that gave you the hardest of all times. Because you learned this in first grade. Adding and subtracting.
Oh my god, so hard.
It was so hard.
Oh my
So
god.
hard.
That's so hard.
Oh my god,
There was tears. It was just sad, wasn't it?
I can't finish it.
I know, it was
I
just
can't,
so
I'm
rough.
gonna fail.
You have, this is, the adding and subtracting, when they lined them up and down, they had them all lined up correctly. But when you have 8,597 plus 1,837, let's change this. Let's take the 1 off. What are they gonna ask you? What should you do? line them up. And what they mean by line them up is you're gonna write the first one, 8, 5. The way that I would do it, because in here, you guys will have it on paper, okay? Just take them and start at the end. 7, 3, 8. Because you're wanting to line up the ones. If you line up the ones, then the tens will line up, and then the hundreds. Do you have 1,000? Wait, you don't have 1,000, so there's nothing that goes there. Then, you just add. 14, 10, 13, 1, 9, 14, 1, 9.
That's so hard. Oh my God.
I know, it's extremely hard, okay?
I'm never gonna get it.
I know. That's the part you're probably gonna fail, isn't it? Now, the other side of it is subtracting. Just like you lined these up, okay? Make sure that you line up the others with subtracting too. Okay? That's the important part in this. Now, when you are taking the test tomorrow, things that you need to look at. Read each one of the questions. Are they asking you for the place, or are they asking you for the value? Okay? On down, with the exponents, are they asking you, in some of them, are they asking you to divide, which means you would take away zeros? Or are you multiplying where you're adding the zeros on? I'll get to you in just a second. Standard form, word form, name form, and expanded form. Okay? I know that word form and expanded form, it takes a while to write them out because you got all the zeros and everything else, or all those words. Take your time, do it right. Make sure that you put in 4,000, okay? You put in the place value after you have said the whole thing. So for this, 580,000, don't write 500,000 plus 8 and 80,000. 580, okay? Then you had your three properties. Commutative, which we call flip-flop. Look at the problem, okay? Make sure that when they give you a blank, you're not adding these to find that out. Okay? All that you're doing is making one side match the other side. Okay? You have the associative. Okay? Which pair are you going to add? They may ask you the questions, like I told you. Which ones would be easier to add first? And then the identity. Basically, that's a zero. Okay? Adding or subtracting. Then you had your front end estimation using the front number. Remember, if you have 8592 plus 837, in that one, in that case, you're going to be looking at the first two. Okay? And in this case, you have zeros, and you have a 3. Okay? If there's something missing, okay, just go over till you find a column that is completely filled. Rounding, George, anything 5 and above goes up, 4 and below goes down. Okay? And then the hardest part of the test, the very end, where you'll be sweating and everything else. Any more? You had a question. You're gonna get paper pencil. The distance learners, since they're not here, they're getting one online. And with the distance learners, they're gonna have to go in and precisely put in everything. So if they are writing this problem, because it's written out this way, they may give them an extra blank here, and they would have to put a 0 in there, because there's nothing that goes there. What the book is trying to do is see if they're gonna move this 8 and put it here, and start with their numbers lining this way, or if they're starting over here and coming this way. So in this case, they would end up having to put a 0 there. Okay? Any other questions? Okay? Today you're gonna have a worksheet, but it's not one sheet, it's a packet with all of these practice problems on it. The kids that are distance learning, they have the same thing, but it's online, and it's a good way for them to practice for the test the next day. Okay? We good? This isn't that hard. Take your time. Tomorrow we're not having any science tomorrow, so that you can take your time and get the test done. Okay, that there's no rush, that you're not panicking going, I need to finish this. Okay? There's no panic. Just take your time, relax, and get it done.
Do you know how many questions there are?
Do I have any what?
Do you know how many questions there are in the test?
On the test, no. It's, I think, I wanna guess and say that it's 27, I think. It's not too long. I mean, I got some longer ones for you, but this one isn't that long. The hardest part,
Is obviously.
adding and subtracting.
God.
How do you do that again? How do you do that again? I like, you don't know.
All right,